So all of the Batman books are dealing with the death of Robin this week. We're talking about two of them, Batman number 18 and Batman and Robin number 18.
And we also have two brand new Wolverine titles, Wolverine number 1 and Ultimate Comics Wolverine number 1.
Okay, so it's finally maybe here. Maybe I have to start dealing with the fact that Damian is gone. Actually 3 books came out this week. Batgirl came out as well, which I didn't read.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll ask you, what did you think of these 2 books, and how do you think with how each of them dealt with the?
So, first of all, Batman has obviously just come off this big Joker arc, and so they already needed a wind down issue. So who's the perfect character to use for the wind down? Harper Row. Like we saw in issue 12, she makes a return, and I totally agree with you. I love this character. I want to see more of her. Absolutely fantastic character. And I think Batman dealt with the death of Robin so well. I mean, first of all, the book is split into 2 different segments. You've got your first half, which is Batman's pure frustration, and then your second half, which is Bruce Wayne's kind of understanding
both
of the
them
situation.
Are told from Harper's perspective.
Yes, but the way in which they mainly show it is a difference in artistic style. So you start off with Andy Kubert's classic kind of look. I haven't seen him draw a DC book in a while. He's mostly been over at Marvel.
He did some before Watchmen, I think.
Yeah. And Alex, I'm going to butcher the name, but it's Alex Maleev, has been doing the Daredevil End of Days covers, and what an incredible artist, quite frankly. I love the second half of this book. It is the perfect looking book, in my opinion. And I think they dealt with the death of Robin very well. Nowhere near as well as Batman and Robin, which, in all fairness, it had to. It had to deal with it just right, and when I started reading this book, I thought to myself, and you know what? I'm not even going to spoil how this book is told, but I thought to myself...
No, we should, because there's a lot to say about it.
Yeah? Okay, so it's done no words. There are no speech bubbles, nothing. It's all just imagery, except for one note towards the end. And, that was crushing. I want to know what your reaction is, but this whole scene at the end and the final image of the book is... Oh, it gets you right there. It really does get you.
Full of images,
Both of these books really just hit home this week.
We'll start off with the Batman. Harper Row is a the cover's amazing. Harper Row is a fantastic character, and I like her. I don't love Andy Kubert. I just don't love his art. And the second art I liked but didn't love. So really, this was just the art was. I mean, the last panel was great. And the thing is, I think both of both of these books accept that, you know, this is a tragedy. This is something that words aren't good enough for. There aren't no words for this. So
there are no words.
So
there's so many no words. There aren't no words.
No, but they both deal with it in different ways. We get with Scott Snyder's take. He just ignores Batman's perspective. He gives us a perspective of another character, which is handy because it's a character he's been looking into and building up anyway. But the way Batman and Robin does it, you're right, this is the first time that Batman and Robin has been superior to its title book since some of the early Nobody issues.
I think since the start of the book. I don't think it's ever been the better book until now.
Some of the early Court of Owls stuff, 3, 4, 5, that sort of stuff I didn't love.
I'm still not in love with the artwork.
Well, actually, that's what I disagree. I think Gleason knocks it out of the park in this issue. Like, some of the and this is what I've always loved about this book in parts, is that, like, the expression that he catches on Alfred's face, on Bruce's face, like, just sheer expressions that he catches is amazing. And, like, the way it unfolds, the empty space, the emptiness. I mean, did you know that this image here was the cover that DC solicited for this book? And the front cover is the same image, but Damian's been removed. And it's blackened out, which is just perfect. It's beautiful. This book, I read it in Starbucks, and I was choked up. Like, it was beautiful. It's stunning, actually, in my opinion. It's absolutely stunning. I really, really, really loved it. And I'm so glad, because this book has been so flat for a long time.
And, I mean, I'm excited to see where they take it with Batman. but I'm more excited to see how it goes in Batman and Robin, because how do you handle this situation in a book called Batman and Robin?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, this is the after issue where it's immediate, dealing with it immediately, passively though it is, and the next ones are going to be, long term, how are we settling in for what's the face of Batman and his family going to be like in times to come.
Yep. So the other 2 titles we have this week are 2 brand new Wolverine books, if there wasn't enough already for you.
Oh my God.
What are we on now? We've got Wolverine and the X-Men, Wolverine Max, Savage Wolverine, Wolverine #1, and
Ultimate Comics Wolverine. And there's a new one just been solicited that is Infinite Comics, and it's going to be Jason Aaron, so it's 6.
Oh, well, that's fair
6
enough.
or 7.
Yeah. So let's start with Wolverine. Well, both of them. Tell me what you thought of them.
I don't know what it is about Wolverine, but I just don't. I mean, I'm not excited to read his books. I'm not taken by. And I know that I like the character. I just have a feeling that it's been done to death. I mean, for me, my favorite Wolverine at the moment, and in large part, it's the reason that you like Daredevil. Is Jason Aaron's Wolverine, the X-Men Wolverine.
Because of how light and...
It's just a bit of a breath of fresh air for that character, and for me, it doesn't take away from he's Wolverine and he messes shit up, but that's always referenced. It's like, oh, how can you teach? And he's like, shut up, get to class. The kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I like that. That's fun for me. These 2, I think the problem with Wolverine is it just seems to get so mired in its own mythology. I don't know what it is. They take Wolverine books, if not done well, and I don't think either of these are done well. They just seem to take themselves far too seriously, and I think that's a problem across the board, especially in the self-titled Wolverine book. It was just like everything I'd ever seen before from Wolverine.
Yeah. What did you think about the artwork in both the books?
Just non-standout-ish, essentially. The Ultimate Comics, we get a sort of different take, and that was a bit more, the storyline in that sort of the son looking for messages and clues from the father from an old case. That has a bit more difference to it, has a bit more edge to it. But I was just not taken by either of them. Yeah,
no, I mean, I completely agree. I think the problem is the market is too oversaturated with Wolverine titles. He is the equivalent of DC's Batman, but because of the character of Batman and how tonally different certain books are, like Batman is completely different to Legends of the Dark Knight.
Yeah, but with Batman, we get perspective. Think of all the Bat books we get. We get Batgirl's Nightwing. We get a whole kind of range.
But with Wolverine books,
I'd say the Batman books are more akin to the X-Men books.
Yeah. Whereas the Wolverine books would be the equivalent of having Batman, Batman.
Having 5-6 books, which is ridiculous. I don't know how it happens with Wolverine.
I don't know, and I've got to say, of all the titles at the moment Wolverine based, I'm now a huge fan of the Wolverine Max version, because the Wolverine and the Ultimate Comic Wolverine, he's this violent character, but you can't show it. Like, you can't show him being properly violent. You can't show him with the attitude that he actually has. Whereas in Wolverine Max, he's fully unleashed. Like, you get that character in full depth, and they've done some really interesting things with the art style. Obviously, you've got those beautiful drop covers. I personally think it's the best Wolverine book out there at the moment, standalone title, and not including Wolverine and the X-Men, because obviously it has loads of different characters in there. But yeah, I just think both of these books were kind of non-standard. Like, I wouldn't bother. I just would not bother with them.
No, I completely agree, and yeah, that's true. But also, it's the fact that, like, this is a guy that can't die.
Yeah.
You're gonna need to make him interesting in other ways,
and the self-titled Wolverine book before they did the Marvel Now stuff, the one being written by Jason Aaron, and then it moved over to, I don't know who wrote it, but that was interesting. Like, the stuff they were doing with Dr. Rot, for anyone who read it, like it was showing a weakness in Wolverine, but you still had the kind of exploitation of the healing factor, and like they'd shoot him in the face with a shotgun, and you'd see the skull repairing itself, and it was kind of gruesome, but in a more PG way, whereas in this one, it's all done in silhouette and shadow, and, oh, don't look at this, kid, and it's like, oh, come on, show me some gore. Show me the goal.
I agree. Like, if you're gonna have that many titles, and then that's kind of a tragic flaw, and the story itself, surrounding, if it isn't a problem enough that the Wolverine side of it is just sort of, we've seen it all before, and you can't go where we'd want you to go. If that isn't enough, the story itself, the hook that they try and put in, is kind of flat, at least for me.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with everything you said.
Cool. Okay, so that's this week's books. The winner of last week's comic will be on the screen below us, and the winner of this week's comic, if you want to win,
What are you throwing out there? What are you throwing out there, sir?
mystery comic.
Oh, mystery comic!
We're doing a mystery week.
Oh, that shows that we don't have anything with a code on it.
We do, but just maybe they didn't come out this week. So yeah, if you want to win the mystery comic, woo! There, that wasn't planned. Then leave a comment on today's video. Don't forget to join us on Wednesday, where we continue finding out who the greatest superhero of all time is.
Yep, and then join us on Friday, where we've got some news from Marvel's South by Southwest, along with some trailer news and absolutely all sorts.
We'll see you then. Shut up. Get to class.